Okay, so let's talk philosophy. So in the first video, I mentioned the three-pronged attack of eat well, supplement smart, and test. There's an overlord looking over those three things, which is food first. We want to get all of our nutrients, as most of them as we can, in the best way that Mother Nature packaged them up for all of the organisms that share the planet. And that is through eating real food, whether that's in the animals, in the sea, on the trees, or in the soil. Right? Because Mother Nature does it best, and that's where we want to get most of our food from. And we want to be planning and eating that way accordingly. Now, there are some trade-offs, obviously, with a food-first approach. A food-first approach doesn't mean a food-only approach. Right? There can be different reasons why we need to come in there and bolster quickly, whether that's an age thing, younger infants to young children, to pregnant women, to the elderly, where we need to come in and do something a little bit more dose orientated that the food can't provide because there are certain health or situational issues that we need to address to get the client into the best health in the best way possible, in the quickest way possible. Right? Now, there may also be some trade-offs with Mother Nature's packages due to climatic change, drought and stuff, soil health, seasonal changes, when stuff was picked, harvest problems, etc., which may mean that the package of food doesn't come with the most optimal amount of nutrients as it should. You often see this in fish as well, farmed fish versus wild fish, depending on what the farmed fish has been fed in the farm, if it was like sort of man-made pellets versus a nice rich natural algae, which means it's got the best quality and quantity of EPA and DHA. So the other trade-off though, you could have the wild fish that has been eating the natural algae and the diet, but there's issues with metal toxicity depending on the size of the fish and the species. So we've got to take into account some of all of these. We want food first, but we want to see where we can bolster and supplement to the best of the client or end user's ability and health. 4 types of kind of people where hopefully their belief systems are a little bit looser to it, but like mine originally wasn't. I was definitely a food first and food only guy. But if you are like me or the old me and you need to come round to supplementation, there's really these 4 types of people that probably should. One of them is the people that know what to do but have a hard time eating that way. So we all know roughly what to eat, and if you don't worry, we're going to flesh it all out in this group, in these videos. But what we really want to be eating, depending on psychologically how stuff goes that day. People have a bad day, or they're bored, or they're lonely, or it's too hot, or any environmental external change happens, means they can come to the fridge, open it, and even though it's bursting at the seams with nutrient-dense plants and Mother Nature, they'll just turn around and go, that's not for today, I need to eat X. Now, whilst you may work with a coach or getting the educational psychological help on here to try and see if we can change the course and the ship, that can take a bit of time with some people. It can be instantaneous like a light switch, or we need to go into the trenches and we need to do some work in order to get the client to, subscribe to a cleaner way of eating. But until we get there, we either wait until it can take, months or up to a year in order to really change lifestyle, depending on the client. Do we wait until it's changed, or do we start bolstering up the nutrition? Because what's wagging the tail? What's wagging the dog, if you know what I mean? Is it because their nutrition is quite poor, that the sleeping's slightly off, or the brain fog's still there? And if we start correcting that and we get better sleep and we get less brain fog, then that can really turn the tide on not eating in a certain pattern of behavior. So that's one group of people. The second group is the ones that don't like foods. They actually physically don't like eating fish. They can't stand it, the smell, the taste, everything. Therefore, they're missing out on all of the good inflammatory cleaning pathways and signaling and cell health and signaling that these EPA and DHA bring to the table. So supplementing our way in there is super important. Same with fibre and gut health. Eating the colours of a rainbow or all of this variety of vegetables just isn't there for some people. So again, supplementation needs to be thought of. Number 3, time constraints these days. How many people, well, do you know, is your life like yourself? Or that I know through doing this for a long time, where people are just too busy. Career mums with 2 young kids who actually probably aren't getting as much food in as they can because they're so busy in the mornings, they just want to drink some coffee and fast for a bit. Then they're so busy at lunchtime with work meetings and calls, they're having a quick salad. Then they're eating something just to tide them over, but it's a bit more processy, ultra-processed foods, even though it may be low in calories. And then they're getting to a meal at night where they just haven't got time to cook. They're a bit knackered and they're having X, Y, and Z. So something to bolster the periphery up is needed in that respect. And lastly, we're in a world now of people, well, we've always been in a world where people want to lose weight, but using things like GLP-1 skinny jabs, where the main source, the main cue for the need for increased energy and for nutrients has been blunted through the appetite suppression. And so there is a real need for those on the GLP-1s not to think that that's it. All I need to do is not eat and that's great. Because we're going to be seeing malnutrition, nutrient deficiencies galore in this. And even if you are eating nutrient-dense food, just if the amount is super small coming in, we may need to bolster up the ranks again with supplementation. The key thing, which I'll talk in a separate module on here, is if you're on the GLP-1s, you don't just take the GLP-1s and then decide the nutrition around your hunger levels. Is that you dictate your hunger levels with the right amount of calories, the right amount of energy, and the right amount of nutrients coming into your diet. And then you tailor make your jab in order to eat that so it still nets weight loss, but you get maximum of everything that's needed for the body. That's the clever way to do that. But anyway, those are the types of people which span pretty much most people that I work with and that I see, that where supplementation needs to be probably looked at. And again, we test as well to make sure that we're not just blind guessing. So anyway, that's a little bit on the philosophy. We want to be doing all those things. We want to be eating well, bringing in that food first philosophy, supplementing where we need to bolster up and make sure that we're in the best health, nutritionally and physically as possible.